ॐ शन्नो मित्रः शं वरुणः शन्नो भवत्वर्यमा शन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः शन्नो विष्णुरुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्भक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु भक्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 From the discussion yesterday, we can conclude, we think we can conclude, okay? That might not be the idea where the Purva Pakshis are concerned. The objections are going to come now. But we are very comfortable, hopefully, concluding that the meaning for jnanam, the word jnanam as a definition of Brahman is purely avabodha. Avabodha, bhave prayoga. Bhave prayoga in the abstract sense. So the abstract sense, because it is neither the knower, nor the known, nor the means of knowledge, yet without its sentient presence, there is no knower can be there, and no known, and not even a means of knowledge can operate. So this we can, that is that consciousness alone, that awareness is the lakshya of the word jnanam, we can conclude. Not so fast, says the Purva Pakshi. Wait a minute, wait. Purva Pakshi is the person who asks questions without raising the hand, okay? No politeness, doesn't wait till the class is over, nothing. And wants to interrupt, wants to keep on saying, this is not okay. And this one is a very vexing Purva Pakshi. Vexing means annoying. Why is this an annoying Purva Pakshi? And the main reason is because, see, sometimes, you just give a quote. Yatra na anyat pashyati, na anyat shrinoti, na anyat vijanati, sabhuma. And this was the quotation. And so now this annoying Purva Pakshi has a series of questions on the quotation. Not why this is a quotation was an example to assimilate what is jnanam, assimilate the concept of ananta, that which is limitless. But this fellow cannot stop. He wants to find fault with the quotation itself and conclude something else from the quotation than what it was intended for. The citation was intended to talk about something. But then he usurps that citation for his own little, to make his own khichdi over here. Let us see what the ingredients are of his khichdi. Okay. So he says, the question now, the Purva Paksha. Na anyad vijanati iti vishesha pratishedat atmanam vijanati iti chet. So, this is a very interesting khichdi. Khichdi means a hodgepodge, okay? Yeah, you put a little bit of everything there. And so here he says, aha, I think I get it. What do you get? It's like somebody saying, "Oh, I understood what you were saying." And then you ask the person to understand what they thought you were saying. And then it's not what you were saying at all. And so this is one of those situations. So he says, na anyad vijanati. Where have we heard the term na anyad vijanati? Of course, in that citation. Yatra na anyat pashyati, na anyat shrinoti, na anyat vijanati. What does this mean? Yatra, where, yasmin vastuni, in which one doesn't know anything else, anything other. One does not see anything else. One does not hear anything else. One does not know anything else. So he catches hold of the word else. Then the Purva Paksha is as follows. Na anyad vijanati iti. If the person here, who is this person? Brahman. If this Brahman is not knowing anything other, anyat, other than, other, then anything else. Iti vishesha pratishedhat. Due to there being a negation of anything specific to be known. Pratishedha, negation. Of what? Vishesha. It does not see flower. It does not see table. It does not see chair. So the specificities of what it sees and what it knows is not given. And so therefore, iti chet means, why not conclude what? Atmanam vijanati. Be very careful of this. It knows itself. Brahman knows Atma, Atma knows Brahman, and the two being one and the same, it knows itself. Oh, be very careful of this, because this doesn't sound like an objection at all. This is what is our bread and butter. We are into this Atma Jnanam. Atma knows itself. Why not say this? Well, because this is an argument full of potholes. Big ones. Why? Let us find out. So, na anyad vijanati iti vishesha pratishedhat atmanam vijanati iti chet. Why not we say it knows the Atma? It knows the Atma. Now, this is the annoying Purva Pakshi. So he's asking the question on the very quotation. So Atma anyatna vijanati. So Atma doesn't know anything, any other thing. Means what? Atmanam vijanati. That must be the meaning for that. Why? Because no other thing is negated. The Vishesha Pratishedhat. Meaning, Anyat means other than oneself. So generally, it doesn't know anything other than itself. That means what? That means there is something there. Then it knows only itself. So it doesn't know other things. Anyat, kimapi anyat, whatever is anyat, it doesn't know. Anything, any particular object, it doesn't know. It doesn't know ghata. Ghata is negated, pot. It doesn't know pata. Cloth is negated. Like this, you can negate the whole jagat. It does not know. Everything is negated. So then what? Atmanaha anyat, we have to extrapolate. Everything is negated other than Atma. Therefore, the Atma is the knower of what? Vijanati. Vijanati reveals the knower, the subject. So, Atmanam Vijanati. Vijanatehe Vishesha Karma Pratishedhat. The object of, the object is negated here, meaning all other things that the Atma can possibly know is negated. There is a general negation, then Vishesha Pratishedha. Therefore, Parishesha Nyayat. Why the logic of residues? What do we conclude? Atma alone is left. Atmanam vijanati. So yatra means here yada. Yatra should be taken as yada. Yatra na anyat pashyati, na anyat shrinoti, na anyat vijanati. Yatra means where. So where, you don't say where. because this yatra is non-specific. It could be, yatra yatra manoyati tatra tatra samadhayah. We have a saying. So it could be yatra, could be time. Yatra could be spatial. So yatra could mean yada. When the person knows the Atma, it is not, because yatra, this tral pratyaya, it can be in the sense of adhikarana. Tral, that yatra, that is tral. Saptamyas tral, there is a sutra. So that yatra, kutra, atra, tatra, all these words have the sense of adhikarana, seventh case. But that seventh case, locative sense, that location can be either time or space. So here, in order to fit his objection, to think like the Purva Pakshi does, we have to take yatra as yada. Yada na anyat vijanati, when one does not see another thing at all, that means by implication, what do you get? Atmanam vijanati yada. And then when the Atma knows itself, then there is Bhuma, Sabhuma. And so therefore, now what? Now even though it looks, this is why we have to study the Bhashya carefully, and this is the joy of the Bhashya study, even though it appears at times like hair splitting, it is not. Even if you were to say, I never would have gone there, that's good if you wouldn't have gone there, but then you don't know that. Sometimes one goes there without knowing that one has gone there. And there are errors in the understanding. There are, some kind of wrong thinkings, errors, vagueness, incompleteness, doubts. All these things are there. And therefore, the understanding has to be really pakka. Pakka has made it into the English dictionary, so I don't have to translate it. So the understanding has to be complete. And so therefore, you cannot say, so if you say Atmanam Vijanati, then we are back to square one. Jnana karta. Atma is the karta of knowing. Knowing what? Atma. So, Atma is the karta of knowing, and so there goes your bhava sadhana. There goes all your sadhana, including bhava sadhana and avabodha matraha, all these things, jnapti swarupaha, meaning abstract, it is all just knowledge without a knower, without known, knocking off all this. No, all this is not possible. This is the Purva Paksha, okay? Sometimes it's very difficult to say that it is the Purva Paksha. But this is the Purva Paksha to fathom this. All the implications of this particular position. This position gives a particular series of implications, and the implications are many. One is Atma again becomes a knower, the agent of knowing, which we had spent so much time trying to dismiss that argument. And then the second problem with this is that Atma becomes finite. Anantya hanihi. No ananta is possible. Therefore, the whole argument satya anantabhyam vartate jnana shabdah pravartate, that the jnana shabda exists along with satya and ananta, that is also gone by implication. So this argument has to be refuted, and he does that first by saying na, not at all. Bhumalakshana vidhiparatvat vakyasya. This is typical Adi Shankara, at his best. First, he proceeds very slowly, thinking that this Purva Pakshi will back off. Because maybe there is a misinformed person someone lost has wandered into this argument without knowing head or tail of it and has put in their 2 cents because of the pressure to speak something. And maybe you should turn them around and then show them where they are and then orient them into the argument, and they'll say, oh, okay, oh, that's what you were talking about, my bad, I'll just sit and listen. So he gives him a nice little, long leash without really, what should I say, yanking um, or disciplining these words, because this is still the first objection. So, what is this objection? So, how does he refute it? He says, no, this is not having any merit. Bhuma lakshana vidhi paratvat vakyasya. So, vakyasya vidhi paratvam asti. So, this sentence has vidhi paratvam. Vidhi para means, there are two kinds of sentences in the Upanishad. One is called vidhi para vakya. In the Veda also, for that matter, vidhipara vakya. Vidhipara means those that positively talk about the vastu. They talk about something positively. They say that, for example, they will say that, like in the Bhagavad Gita, we say that, Nitya Sarvagata Sthanuhu. These are vidhipara vakyas or vidhipara words, sentences, phrases. And what is vidhi para means? Vidhi doesn't here mean a command, but in the positive sense. Positive sense. Atma Nityaha, second chapter, and then Bhagavad Gita, okay? Yeah, second chapter. So, Atma Nityaha, it is always the same. Then Atma Sarvagataha, Sarvagaha, it is all pervasive. Sthanu, unchanging. Then there are certain Nisheda Paravakya which reveal the Vastu by negating what it is not. Achedyogyam adahyogyam akledyo shoshya evacha. These are Nisheda Paravakyas. Meaning, they negate, because the negative, the nanj pratyaya is there in front of all the words quoted here. Na chedyaha, achedyaha, adahyaha, akledyaha. Not subject to being burnt, not subject to water damage, not subject to dehydration or, air damage. This Atma. So first it is like not, it is not this, it is not this, it is not this, and then it is this. Both are equally important and are deployed in the form of a very consistent and important teaching pedagogy. And so here Vakyasya vidhiparatvam asti. As what? Vidhiparatvam asti means it has a commitment to revealing what? Bhuma lakshana. The lakshana of this bhuma, knowing this bhuma as not the doer, not the seer, not the hearer, not the object, not the subject, which includes the subject and object and which transcends them both. By knowing the bhuma as such, what do you get? Swarupa Sukha. This is what is being pointed out. So, my dear fellow, come sit down. The argument here is very interesting. You can see that what here we have is the desire to reveal Brahman in the form of Bhuma here, and that is what is important. That we are not trying to make Atma into a knower. In fact, quite the contrary. And so, therefore, we are trying to establish something here. And what are we trying to establish? We are trying to establish Bhuma. Because therefore, your argument of Atma knowing itself is not true. Because let us just backtrack and see what Narada asked. What did he ask? Bhagavaha bhumanam vijijñase, I desire to know Bhuma. This is what he asked. And then, so why will the teacher, being asked this question, then suddenly go to Atma knowing itself? There is no connection. The teacher will, of course, try to answer the question that the student has posed. So therefore, this is this Atmanam Vijanati iti, that this Vijanati does not come into the picture. Does not come into the picture. This your argument. Yada Atmanam Vijanati, tada vimukto bhavati. When he or she knows the Atma, then they become free. That it does not come into the picture at all. Why? Because Bhuma is what is under discussion. Prakritam, the topic here is Bhuma. And so therefore, what did he say? Bhuma is Sukha Swarupa. Why? Alpe Sukham Nasti. That was also said. Alpe Sukham Nasti means in smallness there is no happiness. And so smallness means what? Alpa means division, duality. Dvaita is alpa. And Bhuma is where there is no Dvaita, where you are not separate from anything else. Therefore, Bhuma Lakshanam is pointed out, not Atmanam Vijanati iti. That is not the topic at all. Bhuma Lakshana Vidhiparatvat, fifth case. Because this sentence is basically committed. Vidhiparatvat means has the commitment to reveal the definition of Bhuma, to state the definition of Bhuma. Therefore, it is a Vidhivakya which positively gives us the definition of Bhuma. It gives the Lakshana of something. That's why it is called Vidhivakya. Just like Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma is also a Vidhivakya. And so therefore, you have to look at the context. And so Vidhiparatvam asti. That commitment is there. And Arthaparatvam, a sentence has got a commitment to reveal something positively here. And what is it trying to reveal? Bhuma. And then, so then he says, therefore what? Na anyat pashyati ityadi bhumnah lakshana vidhi param vakyam. So this whole quotation is not to state that the Atma knows itself somehow and then the person being the Atma is free from sorrow or gets the status of becoming Bhuma, quote unquote, okay, becoming Bhuma. All this is not being talked about here at all, not in the slightest. Yatra nanyat pashyati ityadi, that whole quotation from the Chandogya Shruti is for bhumnah lakshana vidhiparam vakyam. So that which is going to which is going to do the pratipadanam, the teaching of this lakshana. The nature of Bhuma is what Narada wanted to know. Therefore, it is going to be revealing the nature of Bhuma. So this particular sentence is revealing Bhuma. Of course, in a very peculiar way, decidedly, because it doesn't come out and say what Bhuma is. First, it negates what Bhuma is not. Therefore, the Purva Pakshi here is in confusion. So therefore, it's a very peculiar way of saying it. And, it can just have said, what is Bhuma? Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So we could have had a cross reference. What is Satyam Jnanam Anantam? Bhuma. What is Bhuma? Satyam Jnanam Anantam. It doesn't say that, but it says in a certain sense, yatra na anyat pashyati na anyat shrinoti na anyat vijanati sa bhuma. So to show that there is no kriya, no karma, no karta, no action, no doer, no object, nothing. And so that is not the tatparya. The tatparya is bhuma lakshana. And then the bhuma lakshana here is to reveal a truth. Because this is the only way to teach a person. We can't say why did not the Shruti, reveal Bhuma straight away, because nobody would have understood it. Perhaps nobody would have understood it until the common things were negated, until the common ways of knowing things are negated. How do we generally people know things? People, there is Devadatta. Devadatta knows something. Devadatta knows samosa, not as, not as himself. Correct? Why? Devadatta is a foodie. All right. So Devadatta knows samosa. How does Devadatta know samosa? Devadatta knows samosa as a tasty object. He doesn't think confuse itself to be the subject at all. So, here, the way in which Devadatta leads his life is all discrete encounters between himself, the subject, and the objects that he engages with. Eats what? Samosa. Goes. Where does he go? He goes to visit a friend. Of course, the friend is separate from him. The car in which he sits and drives to go to see the friend is separate from him. The road upon which the car drives is separate from the road and from the car and from him. And then the house of the friend is separate from him. Everything is separate. And then he comes home and his own house is separate from him. This is what it is. This is prasiddha vishaya. The subject is separate from the object that is to be known. That is how every object is known. I am ghataha, I am pataha, I am mataha. Like this, every object is known in this way. No object is known, oh, I am one with everything. Who does that? Nobody does that. If one is found wandering around saying this, I think, they'll get into trouble. So therefore what? So this is how one knows in the things in the world. And now the same person, i.e. Narada, who knows things in this way in the world, is asking for this knowledge that will free him from sorrow. How to teach him this? The best way to teach him this is to say, what your purview, your understanding. Bhuma is not an object, first of all. It's not, and you are not like Devadatta, knowing everything separately. Because if you know everything separately, it will definitely become alpam, because it becomes agneya padartha, means an object to be known, and it is other than everything else. It's other than you, and it's other than other things which look like it. It's other than other things which do not resemble it. It's other than everything that you can imagine, and it's other than, and all other lokas. It is other, and so that is not bhuma. And therefore, Narada is told to understand Bhuma to be that where the subject object resolve. The subject is Bhuma, object is Bhuma, and then every cognition, just like we talked about that sentence from the Kenopanishad, every cognition is recognized as that, as the revealing the truth of the content of the cognizer, and the cognized is one same consciousness. One same consciousness. And so therefore what? So therefore this is what Narada is taught. So the Atma knowing itself is not at all a possibility. Further, Bhashyakara says, Yatha prasiddham eva, as it is well known. Anyah anyat pashyati iti etad upadaya yatra tat nasti sa bhuma iti bhuma swarupam tatra jnapyate. Bhuma swarupam jnapyate. The nature of bhuma jnapyate means is revealed, is taught, is made known, is made to be known. And how is it made to be known? Yatha prasiddham eva, by taking that which is already well known. And what is well known? Anyah san anyat pashyati. Etad upadaya. By negating that which is already well known. You have to take the situation that is well known, and then, so therefore, I want to see Brahman, I want to know Brahman, and where is Brahman? And it's not any of the objects, It happens to be the subject. It is not, it includes the object but transcends the object and the subject both. That is what is Bhuma. So how to tell that? So first you take what is Prasiddham in where? In your own experience. Anyasan anyat pashyati. Being separate, you see something separately. Separate from the object and separate from the subject. Like this, you see everything separately. And one sees another, one hears another, one knows another in general. So, therefore, what? So, he first takes the perceptual division, pashyati. Then he takes the auditory division, shrinoti. And then he hopes, Bhashyakara hopes, that you understand, or rather, the Chandogya Shruti hopes that you understand what it is saying. So then it goes straight away to Vijanati. Yatha prasiddham. Yatha prasiddham means prasiddham anatikramya, not transcending, not crossing what is already understood, what is known. What is it doing? It is playing in the realm of what is already known. And then what? Which is common for everybody. Even a baby. Anyat san anyat pashyati. Look at the crow. Then the mother will point to the crow. Oh, that is crow. Okay. Look at the doggy. Oh, this is doggy. Okay. And look at the kitty. Oh, that's kitty. Okay. So everything is, even from babyhood, the same kind of thing is prevails. And so therefore the Shruti Upadaya means taking this into consideration, taking this situation of everyone seeing everything as separate from themselves into account. Then it says, then Bhuma Swarupam Tatra Jnapyate. Jnapyate means teaches us the Swarupa of that which is called Bhuma in the Chandogya Shruti. And what is this Bhuma? As not what you think, not what you see, not your everyday reality, not business as usual, where you objectify the things in the world with the help of the sense organs. And it is not that situation. And so what this is, what is that called? This is prasiddhasya pratishedhaha, the negation of that which is very well entrenched, a knowledge or a wrong knowledge that is very well entrenched based on a particular order of reality, vyavaharika reality, here is being negated. Only that can be negated. Just like we have sentences in the Veda. What are they? Suram na pibet. Do not drink alcohol, says the Veda. Why? Because it alters certain things in the brain and alters perception and everything like that. So do not give yourself to alcohol. But then, there is no sentence that says, Agnim na pibet. Don't drink fire. It doesn't say don't drink fire. Why? Because nobody, really speaking, drinks fire, do they? So it doesn't have to be negated. So the negation happens only, this is all to show that the negation is pertinent only when it happens in an area where the mistake can be made. So that mistake is negated. So prasiddhasya prasaktasya pratishedhaha. Prasiddhasya pratishedhaha. Pratishedhaha means you negate something that one is wont to do. So you don't have to tell people, when you come to my party, please do next weekend, please do not bring a rabbit's horn, okay? Please do not carry that with you. You don't have to tell people that, because first of all, there is no such thing called the rabbit's horn, and people are not going to bring rabbit's horn. Okay, this is this kind of a pratishedha is not there. Aprasiddha pratishedha is not there because that is possibility is not there. Prasakti is not there. And so, therefore, the pratishedha is only when there is something that is coming in your way of understanding what is being told. So, that thing is going to be negated so that you can understand this easily, properly, and without any obstacles. And so, what is the prasiddha vishaya here? The subject object division is the one that is well known. This is the Dvaita duality. Kartra karma bheda, the subject object division, which is the bane of everybody. Everybody wants to resolve into the objects, or they want the objects to resolve into them, but they know not how to do this because objects seem to be finite and the subject seems to hanker for the infinite. This is what happens. And so, therefore, the experiencer experience divide is this bheda, this division. And the Shruti negates that by saying Yasmin Vastuni, in which reality there is no seeing anything other than oneself, no seeing anything other than oneself, no hearing anything other than oneself. And this is, so when that is not there, when that division does not exist, why? Because it is self-revealing I, that which upkeeps, which lends which reveals the subject, which reveals the object, which reveals the means of knowledge that connects the subject and the object without really undergoing any change. That is Bhuma. Because this also, the second thing, the second reason why this negation is important is because people have a great addiction to smallness. Oneself, alpa. Alpa means small. And then I want to be the knower. Knower of what? Another alpa. And how much do you know? Swalpa, a little bit. And so this is what it is. And then, so this is this is what is dukkha. Yatra tan nasti. That bheda is not there. That alone is bhuma. So bhuma swarupa tatra jnapyate. This the bhuma swarupa is revealed. The nature of bhuma is revealed, is made known. Jnapyate. And then अन्यग्रहणस्य प्रतिषेधार्थत्वात् न स्वात्मनि क्रिया अस्ति परत्वं वाक्यम्. So, what is this sentence? What is the sentence oriented towards? Adi Shankara asks, Anyagrahanasya pratishedharthatva. So, it has its commitment to Anyagrahanasya prapta pratishedharthatvat. So, prasiddha, is what already existing. Anyagrahanam, this Anyagrahanam is already there. Anyagrahanam means taking everything to be separate from oneself. So, this already obtaining separation is already there. The duality is already between the subject and object is what? Prapta, Siddha. Siddha means it is already established. Therefore, Anyagrahanasya praptasya pratishedharthatvat. So, therefore, there is this praptasya pratishedharthatvat. So, for the purposes of negation, there is the pratishedha, the negation of the Anyagrahanam, the grasping of everything as as separate from oneself. So the purpose of this sentence is to negate the duality, the apparent duality that exists between the subject and the object. That is the purpose of the sentence. It's not to say that you know yourself or something like that. That is not what it is. So for Bhuma to exist, subject must be gone. So I should not be there. That is not the idea. That is not the idea. Then because If only Nirvikalpa is Bhuma, no change, no nothing, nothing should be there, then only there is Bhuma, then that means what? Vikalpa or some change comes and Bhuma is gone. No. All changes are mithya. All duality is mithya. That is where this sentence is going towards. And the subject is nothing but bhuma. Object non-separate from bhuma. This bhuma alone is neither subject nor object. Yet without bhuma there is no subject. Without bhuma there is no object. This is what the Shastra is trying to tell. Ghata is Bhuma. You, the observer of the pot, is also Bhuma. Being Bhuma, you are seeing Bhuma. That is why it is all Bhuma. Because all this Ghata, pot, and lid, and so many things you can make, all the earthenware is just a vikara. Just like the earthenware is the vikara of clay, all this that you see in the Jagat as separate from yourself is vikara of bhuma. This is what it is committed towards. And it is not committed to reveal, it is committed towards astitvam, existence of bhuma. It is not committed towards showing or revealing kriya. What kind of kriya? Jnana kriya. The knower, the status of the knower with regard to the atma, swatmanam vijanati. Anyat kinchit na pashyati. It doesn't see anything else. It only knows something as itself. No, that is not what is. This is not what is talked about, he says. Why? Because, where did that quote go? Naswatmani kriya astitva param vakyam. Because there is no what is that, kriya, action possible with regard to the I, the atma that is revealed. There is no action possible. And so what this is, so you cannot say that, at all. Atmanam vijanati, you cannot say, because if this is so, then there is already, the atma has changed. There is a slight change in the atma to quote unquote become the knower. If this change is real, then it is not transcendental, it is not bhava sadhana. Then you have an entity, a person who is the jnana karta, and this Brahman is very completely different from you. And then at the most you can say Brahman is Ananta Kalyana Guna Sampanna, a God, God which is separate from the creation and is endowed with endless qualities of power and, Aishwarya. Aishwarya means overlordship, etc., etc., etc. So some kind of a new theology will come. And then, so therefore, Brahman has infinite qualities. It is Jagat Karta, it is Sarvagnya, it is Jnana Kartru, it is the knower, it is all pervasive, it is all knowledge. So you can say that is what it is. And so therefore, Jagat Karanam Brahma Asti, and the Brahman is the cause of the universe. And so like this, you can say this is what you can have a spin-off philosophy from this. That is not that is not the idea, that this Vishnu sitting in Vaikuntha has made the whole Jagat without coming down at all. That is not the idea. That is a separation, that is a duality. That duality cannot be there. From the standpoint of a devotee, you can say that. You can say, from a standpoint of a devotee, that, oh, you, oh Lord, are all pervasive. I am Alpa. From the standpoint of a devotee, you can sing like that. You can say like that. But many people many people do not have, I'm not sure what is happening. Let's see. So many people do not have this at all. Um, yeah, so now I will stop the sharing. So many people do not have this kind of an understanding where they are able to see that this jnana karta and this the knower and the known are transcending both, that one can transcend both the knower and the known. People don't have that. And so, therefore, this negation has to be done carefully and slowly to just go where the person is, step by step. So where is the person? The person is thinking everything is, different. And so therefore what? So therefore this anyat pashyati, etc., etc., is slowly trying to get this person back to this place of appreciating this. Because for many people, moksha is, they may be devout, but moksha is not the goal. Moksha is not the goal at all. The goal is to become one with Bhagavan when? After death. After death. After death, what is the use? What happens? Who knows? So after death, one will, if one has done good deeds, etc., one will go to a place where there will be Bhagavan sitting, and then you can sit and watch Bhagavan. That is the belief. There is no freedom while alive, and moksha is not pursued in the same way as we are pursuing moksha. It's a very different situation. And so, therefore, so this is what it is. This separation between the Brahman and the Jagat is an as though separation. Because here the two orders of reality are not appreciated, are not understood. And this quotation is a baby step towards the Taittiriya Shruti to establish or to teach about these two orders of reality. Paramarthika, the absolute, where there is no change, nothing is changing, no one is acting, there is no jnana karma, there is no jnana karta, nothing. It simply is. And then Vyavaharika, which is a world full of movements, which is the empirical world. The two do not stand in opposition to one another, primarily because one is leaning on the other. One is a projection of the other. Oh, Brahman is the projection of the Jagat? The other way around. Okay, so Brahman is not a projection. Brahman is as though projecting what is the Jagat. The Jagat is an as though projection of Brahman, which is unchanging, which is simply is, which is in the form of knowledge without a knower, without the known, but which is not outside of the knower known duality, but that duality depends on that oneness which transcends both. This is what has to be explained. And so how are you going to explain it other than this creative way? And so therefore it cannot be a jnanakarta. And this is what the Bhashyakara also wants to avoid. That's why he's raising these questions and spending so much time here. And therefore he says grahanasya prapta pratishedharthatvat na swatmani kriya astitva param. So this is not this sentence, the quotation is not at all committed to what? To having some kind of a kriya for Atma. Even if it is knowing itself, that is a kind of a kriya. Swatmani cha, he further continues, bheda abhavat vijnana anupapattihi. And also, okay, let's find out now how the Atma is going to know itself. So is it like an amoeba? It has to divide itself. And so first it becomes two, knower and known. Is that possible? No. Atma is not divided. This is what we've been saying all along. So if Atma is not divided, it's indivisibly one, non-dually one, then it is, how is it going to do? So if you say Atmanam Vijanati, if you get, then it should be the Karta. There are only two possibilities. because there is no bheda in Atma. So, so there are only two possibilities with this sentence. The Purva Pakshi has provided. The objector says Atma is knowing itself. Why do we not take it like that? If we take it as Atma is knowing itself, then there are two possibilities. One is Atma is the knower, agent of knowledge, or Atma is known. Is the object of knowledge. So then, supposing if we say, then Atma is the knower, then let's say Atma is the knower, then who is this knower? Where is this knower? If you say Atma is known, where is the knower? If you say Atma is knower, then where is the known? Because you see, it can only be one thing. Because there is just one Atma, it can only be one thing. It can either be the knower or it can be the known. So if it is the subject, then we have to say where is the object? Because it has abheda, abhedatvam asti, because it is it is the it is to if it is known, then who on earth is the knower? And if it is if it is the knower, then what is the known then? How can you accomplish this great feat? If Atma is Jnana Karta, then what is the karma? Then what should be the object? Then the object is Atma or Anatma? What should be the object? This is a very big thing. How do we know this? And so then that is an important consideration. And then what? Then if Atma is Jnana Karta, then the object will be what? Anatma, naturally. Then how can you say Jnana Karta san Atmanam Vijanati? You cannot say Atmanam, it knows the Atma, you cannot say. So therefore what? It's like saying I want to bend the sky. I want to bend the sky. This is not possible at all. Elsewhere, Bhashyakara says, it's like wanting to bend the sky. Why not say, why are you making such a big deal? This could be the Purva Pakshi's position. Don't make such a big deal. Why not we say, Atma, one half of the Atma is the knower and the other half of the Atma is known. Why can't it be both at the same time? Well, it cannot be both at the same time. First of all, there is no parts. He's going to explain that. It is partless. So what if it is partless? Like you can be the knower and the known at the same time. You can be the subject and the object at the same time, can't you? How? Well, let's say you have, you have an itch on your hand. So there is the scratcher. Who is the scratcher? Me. Who is the scratched? Me. See, lo and behold, both are possible at the same time. Both are possible. So scratcher, scratched, both are there. No one known. Well, that is because you are placing the me purely in terms of the body and the sensation of touch. That is where the I is placed. And then, since this body, mind, sense complex has limbs, you can say one limb is the object, the hand that is being scratched is the object, and the scratching hand is the subject. You can say that from the standpoint of the body, which has parts. But here we are not talking of the body. We are talking of that which is not an object, not a subject. And so you can, so therefore, Vijnana Anupapattihi. So therefore, what you can't say Atmanam, Atmani, Atmana, Atmane, Pashyati. That will sound very silly. Atma is seeing Atma for the sake of Atma, by the Atma, and for the, through the, with, along with the Atma. There is actually in the 6th chapter, there is a verse. Uddhared Atmanatmanam, Natmanam Navasadhayed. Like this, there is a verse. And not understanding how to translate that, they will translate it like this: pick up the self, capital S, with the self, small s, because it is here, that's not being talked about. Atma is not being talked about there. Atma means here, the mind, etc. So many ways it is used. But here, all this, this is why the sampradaya is very important. This is why the lineage, without the lineage, you don't have anything. You don't have anything at all. You need the lineage, and without the lineage, one is absolutely lost. Because out of one's wits, one can interpret it however they want. And so, therefore, this kind, so this whole, in fact, self knowledge, vritti jnanam, does not really give anything new. It knocks off the error and ignorance of the I. And since the I is already self evident, then it's not that Atmanam Vijanati. You don't come to know the Atma as an object. Just the removal of error itself is Vritti Samarthya, that's all. The power of the Vritti, the power of the teaching is just that is that you no longer can say, I am ignorant of Atma. And that's why there is no phala vyapti, there is no object that you get at the end of this perception. Atmani Atmanam Pashyati, the subject object division is not there at all. So you don't catch the Atma like an object. You only you submit yourself to the removal of error, and no more can you say, I am ignorant. That's all it is. But here, this Purva Pakshi wants to establish the knowership for the Atma. Then that is the problem. Atma cannot be an object. If Atma is the subject, it cannot be object. If it is object, it cannot be subject. If it is the subject of knowing, then then you will be establishing the doership, and you cannot establish doership because vijnana anupapattihi, because it cannot be the doer. And then so it's not like Atma knowing itself. It's not like Devadatta taking a selfie. So then what is the object of the camera? Devadatta. Who is the cameraman? Devadatta. You cannot do that. This is not like that. And then so this he in somebody taking a selfie, the person is the object, the person is the subject. And but then here, this is just like the scratcher scratched, because why? You have a selfie stick, you have a, what is it called, hands, limbs, etc. Here Atma is, he doesn't have any swagata bheda nasti. There is no bheda. No bheda at all. Bheda means what? No division. There is absolutely no division. The Atma is completely, fully, totally divisionless. And so therefore what? So since the bheda is not there, then it doesn't have any amsha, parts. It is Shuddha Kevala Chaitanya, it is just awareness. Niramshatvat, because it has no subject object division, is not possible because it doesn't have body parts. That is why it is Bhuma. That is the whole idea. So Swatmani cha Bheda Abhavat Vijnana Anupapattihi. This is not possible. This is not possible at all. For Atma to know itself as an object is not possible. Why? Because he further says, Atmanascha Vijnayatve Jnatra Abhava Prasanga. This we have already discussed, but we'll just talk about it a bit. Jnayatvena eva viniyuktatvat. So if Atma, according to you, is the knower, then the known is also Atma. Then Atmanascha Vijnayatve sati, Atma becomes the object. So if Atma has got the status of being the object, then you must bring in another knower who should be separate from the known. But who is the knower here? Can Anatma be the knower of Atma? No. Anatma is never the knower, because why? It is Jada. Anatma is insentient. That which is insentient cannot be the knower of the sentient. And so, therefore, Atma is already taken by you to be the object. So, you have no Atma to know, because Atma is already known. And so, there is no knower. So there is knower abhava. This is what is called nyatra abhava prasangaha, a circumstance where there is no knower possible. No knower, the total absence of the knower, this kind of a situation. And then, because Atma is already the known, that means you require another knower, another Atma not being there. So you are constrained to say Anatma is the knower, and you cannot say that. Because why? Without you require the Atma to know. All right. So why not we take it as the knower? Then what? Then if it's the karta, then what will it know? If it is the knower, what will it know? Again, it will know only anatma as an object. It will not know itself as the way you are presenting it. Why? Neyatvena viniyuktatvat. So Atma is being used as the either the subject or the object. So there is no way for the knower being there to know that this is the Atma to be known. So therefore what? And this some people have this philosophy, Atma chid jadaha. Chid jadaha means sometimes it is sentient and sometimes it is insentient. This is very, very dangerous. If one part is insentient and one part is sentient, and they will take this, they will say, look, even in a purusha, in a person, nails are insentient, hair is insentient, certain other parts are sentient. Why not take it this way? This is very, very dangerous. And so you say the chit part of the atma knows the jada part. Chit part is the knower, and it's aware of that which is inert. It is both chit and jada. And then, how did you get that? It doesn't have Shastra Pramana. You cannot say Shastra told me this. Nowhere, nowhere in the Shastra it says that it is chit and it is jada. And then, where there is no pramanya for this. There is no in the teaching. There is no there is nothing that says that. So then, if you are chit and jada, then you can say you can say I am chit and jada. I saw jada. Then what? So then jada is seen. Seer is chit. So how can you say jada is chit? Jada is jada. Chit is chit. You cannot. Chit means sentience. Jada means inertness. And so therefore, this combination of inert and sentient is not possible. It's a profane combination. It can never, never happen. This one is just not possible at all. And there is no means of knowledge for this. There's no means of knowledge by which you can establish that something is inert and sentient at the same time. Not there at all. And so therefore, we what the Shastra says, Kevalaha, Nirgunaha, Sakshi, Cheta. It is Chit, it is Ananta. It is free of all roles. Knower, doer, known, done in, all these things it is free. It is free of all roles. It is consciousness without any parts. So the objection is raised, and the old contentions of the Atma is what is that? Inert and sentient at the same time. This is coming from the Purva Mimamsakas. Strangely, this is that there is not the Purva Mimamsaka is also, they are divided into two. One of them, what is that? They are called, what are they called? Um, Guru Mata. And then the other one is called Bhatta Mata. And then this one is from the Bhatta Mata. And then there was one so this Guru Mata and Bhatta Mata. And then so this Bhatta Mata posits the Atma as Chit and Jada, both sentient and insentient. Jnana is there, Ajnana is there. So therefore the person becomes Karta, and then because Jnanam and Ajnanam are there at the same time, and then Ajnana is there. So therefore that's the nature of the Atma. Like this, these wrong roads, one can just go down the rabbit hole like this and put oneself in a terribly difficult situation. And so therefore what? So therefore, how do you get moksha in this case? If half of you is inert and half of you is what? Sentient. How do you get moksha? Well, you keep doing, and then by doing, what do you gain by doing? Some punya you gain. Being Purva Mimamsa, they keep you doing something. And when the punya overpowers Papa and keep on dreaming, that will never happen. And so, when the punya overpowers Papa, and suddenly, maybe spontaneously, you will get moksha, this will not happen. And so this Jadamata is very is just not necessary at all. And that is where this Purva Pakshi is going, because then the Purva Pakshi says, what does the Purva Pakshi say? Ekah eva atma, ekah eva atma, ज्ञेयत्वेन ज्ञातृत्वेन च उभयथा भवति इति चेत् न युगपत् अनंशत्वात्. Come on, let's compromise. Please, I'm trying so hard. Let's compromise, the Purva Pakshi is saying. Let's agree. Let's agree on what? Well, let's agree that it is both, Atma is both subject and object. Let's say one half of it is subject, the other half of it is object at the same time. No. Why? Yugapat, simultaneously, anamshatvat. It doesn't have any parts. And if it doesn't have any parts, then how can it, how can you take it as Atma, Atmanam Janati? You can't do that. And so, this is just that, we have already talked about this a little bit. The Chit Jada argument. The conscious part becomes the knower, and from the standpoint of the you can't say unconscious, the inert part, that is the object to be known. So the status of being knower is there for Atma, and status of known is also there for Atma because of this. This is again, this is that, what is that? Amsha, and this is that, Bhattamata, started by one Kumarila Bhatta. And so, who was a great Purva Mimamsaka. And then, who is the Purva Mimamsaka? The person who keeps on analyzing the first portion of the Veda is called Purva Mimamsaka. And so, this is the particular argument coming from that kind of a particular theology, if you will, some kind of a philosophy. And so therefore, from this standpoint, this you cannot say, you can say Atma knows Atma, but Adi Shankara says, you can't. Adi Shankara says it's like you're going all round Robin Hood's barn to just understand one thing, or rather to avoid understanding that wholeness which this quotation is positing. What is the quotation? The quotation is na anyat paschati, na anyat shrinoti. Where one doesn't know anything other, doesn't see anything other. That was the quotation. And you are going all over the place, and you will need some Tylenol after this. The Purva Pakshi, okay, not all of you. Yeah, the Purva Pakshi will need some Tylenol after this in order to ward off this, because they are giving themselves a big headache. And so he says Niram Shatvat. He just dismisses that in one argument, in one word, because it doesn't have parts. So Yugapat Simultaneously, you cannot, you cannot do that. And then secondly, when you in the world, even in the world, when you know something, the knower is separate from the known. The division is mithya, definitely. And so here, you cannot say the Atma is knowing one part of it. It cannot do that. Atma does not have parts. It does not do that at all. So ज्ञेयत्वेन ज्ञातृत्वेन च ubhayatha na bhavati iti. It cannot be an object, it cannot be a subject at the same time, because why? you know because yugapat, not simultaneously, not possible, because Atma is not Chit, not Jada, and Atma is not the knower and the known at the same time. Not possible. And therefore, the aspect of the Atma that is to be known, how can it be different from the Atma that is the knower? What is the difference? You can't say one is Chit, one is sentient, and the other is insentient, because we already have a name for that which is insentient, and that is Anatma. So how can it be Atma and Anatma at the same time? So there goes, there goes your Chit Jada argument. It is not possible. Why? Virodhat. Virodhat means this is completely opposite. It is opposite. If Atma is sentient, it is sentient. It cannot have inertness. It's like somebody saying, I am pregnant and I'm not pregnant at the same time. How is that possible? This is how it is. And so, this is, this, and just like light and darkness cannot live in the same place at the same time. If Atma is Chit, if Atma is sentient, it cannot have even a slightest bit of inertness. Inertness does not belong to which. That is what is called Chit, understand? And so, therefore, there's nothing, there's only conscious Atma, there is no way, because only conscious Atma is there. Because even to have ignorance on the local level, on the empirical level, Atma has to be only Chit. Really. Because otherwise, the mistake can take place only when there is Chaitanya. And that Chaitanya is not fully understood properly. That is why the mistake is made. And then if it is Jada, then there is no mistake, because it is taken as an Atma. And so there it can be objectified. Because the Chaitanyas cannot be objectified, ignorance exists, mistake is made, and then, so this is what it is. And so the Chaitanya must be the ashraya of everything, including ajnanam, including ignorance. This Chaitanya means this sentience is what is the truth of everything, including ignorance. And therefore, this is what we have to see. And and then a few more arguments are there. This is a tenacious Purva Pakshi, like a dog holding on to a bone. Okay. And so he has a bone to pick with this particular argument. And so, whether we like it or not, it will be carried over to next week. So, I tried to teach fast today, hoping that we would finish these arguments, but still there are a couple we have to look into. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you, Amma.
Thank you so much.
Om.
Thank you.